Hello, it's 4 p.m. Good afternoon. Welcome to NewsFlash here on Metro Television. Coming up in the bulletin, 4 persons, including 2 police, shot dead in a robbery attack at the timber market in Accra. Ghana hosts 59th session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government. We have these and other stories coming up in the next 30 minutes. My name is Nana. Our bulletin is live on Facebook and YouTube on our handle Metro TV Ghana. We also live on DSTV channel 277. To our first story, Ghana over the weekend was elected to the United Nations Security Council, the second in running. Speaking to the press on the benefits of the election, Minister of Foreign Affairs Shirley Aikoboche mentioned that being there was a positive influence in making decisions to affect the entire continent.
The sessions being held this week follow the 29th ordinary session of the Administration and Finance Committee, AFC, whose outcomes will inform the work of the Council of Ministers. The AFC is made up of experts from the Ministries of Foreign Affairs and Finance of ECOWAS member states. They met at the Alisa Hotel from the 8th to the 12th of June 2021. In line with the practice of ECOWAS, the sessions this week will deliberate on important regional matters germane to our community, including recent political and security developments that have threatened the peace and stability in our region. The agenda for the sessions will focus on the progress of ECOWAS institutional reforms, ECOWAS Vision 2050, the status of tasks assigned by the 85th Ordinary Session of the Council of Ministers, the ECOWAS African Research and Innovation Forum, FARI, as well as the humanitarian situation in our region, amongst others. The Council of Ministers will also consider and adopt the following. 1. A report of the activities of the ECOWAS Ministers of Trade and Industry. 2. A report of the Ministerial Committee on Single Currency and a New Convergence Pact. 3. The Regional Flood Risk Initiative Management Strategy. And 4. Gender Strategy and Action Plan for Disaster Reduction.
In other news, pupils in the Mofrafajin community in the Ahmed Maikano community risk drowning as an important bridge over the stream which links them to the only basic school in the area is broken. The pupils, their parents and teachers in the area are terrified and they are calling for an urgent attention in fixing the bridge. We bring you excerpts of this extensive coverage in our program Community Watch tonight at 9 p.m.
The absence of a bridge in the Mofrafajin community in the Sawam Edwadri municipality of the Eastern region has been a major challenge to residents for years. It's always a terrifying situation for the over 80 pupils of the community each time they have to cross this dilapidated makeshift bridge to and through the only basic school in the area.
I feel so scared.
You feel scared?
Yes, because last time me and my sister was crossing the bridge and my sister fell into the water, so I feel so sad. Please, I want them to come and correct the bridge for us because the bridge is so terrible.
We have one school in the community, the only school in the community, and because the bridge is broken, children are not able to go to school. There's a population of about 80-90 students in the school, children in the school, but when it rains, only about 20 or 10 show up, which is very disturbing. Mothers are scared, children are scared to cross this bridge, and we are in the raining season. So the situation will be getting worse, and we are very, very concerned. We are very, very worried.
We had to pause the interviews at this moment because it was just about raining. The incomplete concrete and makeshift wood bridges are self-help projects by the community members. They appeal to authorities and humanitarian organizations to support them to complete the bridges.
We pray that you guys will help us, and I want you out there to help us to construct this bridge for us so we can go to school, educate these children so that they become a great leaders in future.
Municipal Chief Executive for the Nsawam Edo-Edri Municipality, Isaac Boabing, explains how the bridge will be fixed.
This is a community self-help project. So they have a budget allocation, which is a self-help project allocation. But if it is fund is not available, what we have to do is to review the budget. We are about to review budget. So the assembly member quickly should write, as a matter of urgency, should write in the form of a request to the assembly, so that if the self-help support cannot fix it for them, we'll inculcate it in our review budget.
Metro News and Community Watch will follow up and keep you updated. From Nsawam, this is Gabriel Ni Obodai Togwa-Ashon reporting.
Still staying on that story, a communications team member of the New Patriotic Party, Lauratu Musa Saka, says the Nsawam-Dredri Deaf Trapfoot Bridge, which says the students of a Rocky Rank school should be attended to immediately before it takes away the life of an innocent child. In agreement, the communications team member of the National Democratic Congress NDC, Gabriela Tete, has called on the district chief executive to help the government as well as himself in the aid of bringing better bridge to help these students access better education.
This was a problem that was foreseen. It's not like it's taking them a bad bridge, fine, but it's usable during the dry season and rainy season. Is bad. So this is something that they could have nipped in the bud without it becoming things. But when it comes to some of these things,
who could have nipped in the bud?
The assemblyman up to the municipal assembly, because the local government set up as structures. The assemblyman of the electoral area is the go-to person. So if it's a self-help project, it's the assemblyman that should be leading this man. But I do also think that the MCs should sit down with what is happening and wait for their assemblyman to write to him. Because these are kids in distress.
This issue of bridges across the country, not just footbridges, but vehicular bridges, as I was saying earlier, there are some bridges that commuters drive vehicles over, especially in the rural areas. And even if you tell me to park my car and walk over it, I won't, not to talk of go with the car. So I think that government should take priority, make the priority to look at how to fix some of these bridges, to build that connection between communities. As for the excavators, if we bend them, let's melt them and turn them into good scrap, steel frames, and use it to...
In other news, residents of the western regional town of Bonsa say the continued pollution of the Pratt River puts them at risk. The residents, including children, have been for years swimming in the river which passes through their own town, but now the color has been muddy due to galamseyers whose dangerous chemical affects the water. They are appealing to the government to intensify its clampdown on the illegal miners in the Pratt River to save their source of potable water.
But sometimes since we don't say cha, it's one to me but and say, but I feel there where I saw a I say more your friend is saying pipe and I say potable water. I be pipe I wear back pay. And so utumi ko jina we hours de ho na unya nsu kura nsai.
Okay. Pipe e okrom ha ba akopɛ.
E ba akopɛ.
Nti nsu we e na mo yuso. Mo de ye den na mo de ye.
Nsu ye yusu de dware e di si no ma. But we de unti de aye untimi num biem. Je se pipe na na yesa na kra sa. Ukwa ko di line na onya ba akoba. Na we be so na ono but we ni de dware ne no masi. Tema me sorry nsu we na yesa enom e di aduane nyina but now me be aduru no. Entimi fanya aduane yesa adware ne no masi na.
Na omo ye chamfan ni bi e nsuo no so omo ye e di waste egu nsuo no se na o se ka no.
Yeah, no more but as a operation ni ba no ye nsan ti o mun ka bi mi. So mintimi nkyere se o ma akwa na mu da so around ye ne de mintimi nkyere. Because met make say course but on the so yes for free ha no in the 3 days. Then 3 days so the so na mintimi sisa within 3 days no just say twan ko be month or week we na hu the way so na ne better. So na just say dia omo da so ya adwuma won so no. So edru dan tell so na we dia just say na naboy omo pipe no na asefo esa dia hu be kire pa.
In other news, Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsia Asare, says persons who attended the former CEO of the Forestry Commission's funeral, Kojo Suefriye, are being monitored daily. Here is a news desk report.
Over 500 people, including President Akufo-Addo, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and Chief Justice Enin Yeboah, were captured in a viral video at the funeral, failing to observe the social distancing protocols. But speaking to the media, Dr. Nsia Asare stressed that despite the blatant disregard for the safety protocols, he does not expect a spike in COVID-19 cases. The health advisor also revealed that organizers of the event have already been picked up by the police to answer questions over the non-adherence of the protocols. There has been a public criticism following the burial service held for the outspoken politician, popularly known as John, on a Thursday, June 3, 2021. Some pressure groups question government moral right to be implementing the Imposition of Restrictions Act 2020, Act 1012, which prohibits mass gathering amidst the COVID-19 pandemic when it is going contrary to that very rule. Also, the Ghana Medical Association has demanded that the law enforcement agencies investigate and deal with the organizers of the funeral. Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament has also requested an unqualified apology from President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia for flouting the COVID-19 protocols.
The Technical University Teachers Association, KATH, has begun its nationwide strike from today, despite an order from the National Labour Commission not to. Speaking to Metro News, the president of TUTAC, Dr. Akugoro Rugby, questioned why the Accra Technical University is not taking part in the strike. He said TUTAC Congress will investigate and prefers punitive measures, if any. He confirmed that the association issued a similar threat last year, 2020, of which same issues raised are still begging for answers from the government. Some of the issues bordered on conditions of service, government yet to put the association on their Tier 2 pension. Here is more.
The exception of Accra Technical University, which we are even currently there, because we are preparing for a meeting at 2 p.m. at the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations. As to why Accra Technical University is not on strike, I'm here to get in touch with the local chairman and then report back to Congress as to why they are not on strike. With the exception of Accra Technical University, all the 9 technical universities in the country are on strike. Our constitution has spelled out sanctions for situations like this. And at the appropriate time, Congress will meet and decide. In 2020, even we secured a ruling from the National Labour Commission in favor of our union. Now, government refused to implement the ruling. We wrote back to National Labour Commission, but it failed to enforce its ruling. So the demands are virtually the same.
A pediatrician at the Pediatric Nephrology Unit of the Konfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital has disclosed that about 25 to 50 children diagnosed with kidney disorders die every year at the Pediatric Nephrology Unit due to the lack of coronary dialysis machine for the children. Heavily affected are children between the ages of 0 to 14 admitted at the hospital. In the following report filed by Ashanti Regional Correspondent Abdul Basit, we look at effort being made to address this challenge.
Since the year 2012, about 225 children who have undergone peritoneal dialysis mechanism at the Konfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital have all died due to lack of chronic dialysis machine for children and transplantation, while 7 children have also died in 2021. A pediatrician at the Pediatric Nephrology Unit, Dr. Anima Safo, explains the current situation of kidney disease in children.
Between 25 and 40 children come in with chronic kidney disease, and for us it's the last stage, which is end-stage renal disease. These children would definitely need a transplant, and before you go on transplant you need to be put on chronic dialysis. Unfortunately, we haven't done one, and sadly, as I'm talking now, all these children have died. Even this year, 2021, already 7 children have died.
Dr. Anima Safo and mothers of some of the ailing children urged government to consider enrolling the disease onto the National Insurance Scheme to help save the lives of these children.
As a nation, if we are really serious with our health, all this must be on the National Health Insurance. And I'll say it, that everything that has to do with a child in this nation should be borne by the National Health Insurance if it is their health issues, because you know our society is such that if it is an adult, somebody doesn't mind going to sell their land, going to sell their car, going to sell their house to be on dialysis. But when it comes to children, they are always sacrificed.
8 million, 10 million, and 14 at the and Sana Wanya or Mudi a dra abacan. You will be a Dianipo be the Fitiano Piafianza, or Mudi Diana and Sana only be the better drama colano class. A base here, woman have a doctor's friend, my nurse's friend, any other 4 child who is shower Hanumana, a Dianipo, and answer it to Nanya or then they are on calamity. A being.
What should parents look out in the children as symptoms of child kidney disease?
One, the commonest one that I'm sure a lot of clinicians will be familiar with is nephrotic syndrome. If you have nephrotic syndrome and it ends up being steroid-resistant nephrotic syndrome, you are prone to getting a chronic kidney disease, and all these conditions can affect your kidney and end up with end-stage renal disease.
We're told that 2 police officers and 2 civilians are reportedly shot dead in a broad daylight robbery attack at the timber market here in Accra. Metro News Derek Odetey has joined us in the studio as he's visited the place to tell us more why and how the whole scene looks like. A very good evening to you, Derek.
Good afternoon.
What more can you tell us beyond the death of the civilian and these police officers?
When we got to the scene, the place was crowded a bit. And we realized that the police and the CID who were on the scene were doing their investigations, actually the preliminary investigations, trying to ascertain the issues, how the things went. And we spoke to some of the witnesses there, and they told us that everybody was running when the incident happened, when they started hearing the gunshot. According to them, they had the armed robbers had tailed the van, the bullion van carrying money from a bank. I think they were transferring the money. And so these armed robbers waited till they got to the timber market where there were not too many people around, and then they attacked the van. There were 4 people in the van. And as you mentioned, one person died, a policeman died, and he has been taken to the police hospital for autopsy. And then a civilian who was also doing her work actually was also shot, and then she has also been taken to the police hospital. We understand that there were 2 tellers in the vehicle, and then the driver who sustained injuries and is being treated at the hospital, Kolebu Hospital. We also understand that the two tellers, one was hit with a gun, and then she felt unconscious. She felt conscious, and then now she is also being treated. We understand the other teller as well was able to escape some way, somehow, which led to the death of one civilian. As she was escaping, we understand the armed robbers were trying to target her, shooting at her. And then where she passed, the woman was just coming out from her room, actually selling a drink to someone, and then the gun hit her in the head. And so we understand she died on the spot as well.
So currently, how many people are pronounced dead?
There has been no confirmation from a health expert, so these are from witnesses. So we wait for that confirmation, official report, to come out confirming their death. I cannot actually mention that they are dead in real fact, because this has not come.
Your presence there, of course, you need a doctor to tell that this body is not breathing, but once blood is oozing out profusely, I mean, we can tell this person is losing their life. How many people were in such conditions, just as you said, like this woman who was coming out to sell something to a customer, receiving a bullet?
Okay. You know, so these are from witnesses around, and when we got there, we saw the blood all over that has been spilled, and we saw the gunshots in the buildings, in the trunks that were around, but the bodies had been cleared. The people were not there, actually. It is the police and the CID doing their investigations who were there. And so they haven't given an official report. They said they will give that later. And so we can't actually confirm that indeed. But from the witnesses, these people who were shot, 2 of them are dead. From the witnesses we saw around. And we spoke to one of the women, the civilian, who died. We spoke to the husband and the mother, who confirmed to us that the daughter had died. And so we can't confirm that that woman is dead, actually. But for the policeman, we haven't been able to get one person anybody to officially tell us that she is dead. But the husband of the woman who died told us that he was called, that this is what had happened. And upon reaching the place, he realized that the woman was dead.
So what is the mood at the timber market currently?
And
let us understand how the environment looks like.
It's a very sad mood. That place is a business environment, basically. But then you can see that the people were afraid. You can see the atmosphere was tensed around. And this is not the first time an incident like this is happening. We are hearing of armed robbery attacks that has been happening in the last few days. And so they are things that this actually happening will continue to happen. And so they are afraid. And there were people there who said when the incidents were happening, they quickly laid on the ground and they never got up till all was over. And even after it was over, they were still laying on the ground. We got some witnesses telling us how they felt when the incident was happening. So you can see the fear on their faces, but they are hopeful.
Do we have police presence currently?
Yes, the police are there. The CID are there trying to gather information from the scene.
Okay, thanks so much, Gabriel. Gabriel is broadcast journalist with us here at Metro Television. We look at some of the scenes and then reports we gathered on the site.
Membrara me banu damojam ana me se me ba damojam say me so o man jona me se o damojam say ampara ya fa ka e bedru ha njere say a prezi phone ya wa damu awu etu ana kana me awu ese me be ti aso so say go so
So that's the mother of the woman who was shot in this very armed robbery incident. We are trying to speak to some more people who are here and then to speak to their husband as well. Sir, please, how did you hear of this incident about your wife who was shot?
On the phone.
You were called on the phone. That such a thing happened. So you were not around?
Yes.
What information have you been able to find out so far from the police?
About her whereabouts?
About where she is and what's happening?
I've been told that she's taken to a place morgue.
Taxi no edi oni gina nti na banka no and the second car edi nti oni gina ho and I say obi no auto no so nti wuntumi hunia AC and all of a sudden you say etu na start say e basa And the best I need them is not where I call on the person or saw them say, Master, yender from, and tell me them from flats. Me send from them a die, Nancy is so again. I think you and you. But first, you say, two I call police in the swap and any day a land down. And they don't want I say, and to woman on so I can find the inside there. I saw Opia Bonting and the blow bones issue to police in those dear MCC. Oh, wow, no, so a do so a manano, ever hope. He went there, but I never talk from the man solibium because in the same as some query because there no how to tell it, Netinians in here. So, okay, obey us. I don't call my baby with Nana Bensiada. Yet the phone flat I better.
Some of the gunshot wounds that entered into the woman's building as the armed robbers were trying to shoot at one of the tellers who was trying to escape. And we'll go further to see some of the bullet holes on the building. And as you can see, there are more bullet holes here. As you can see, the police are trying to do their work around, but the armed robbers clearly were aiming at a target that was trying to go through here as they attacked the van.
Okay, we had a report from our colleague Derek Adete from the timber market. We have more on this story at 7 on Newsnight. The Accra Regional Police has petitioned the Forestry Commission to provide lightning on the Achimota-Gimpa Road to prevent the reoccurrence of criminal activities in the area. Speaking to the media, Public Relations Officer of the Greater Regional Police Command, DSP Efiatinga, hinted that this would stop criminals from hiding in the area to carry out their nefarious activities. Here's a news desk report.
The police also requested for a fence to be put around the Achimota forest to deprive criminals of a safe haven to operate from. During an interview with the media, Public Relations Officer for the Greater Accra Region Police, DSP Efiatinga, disclosed that the police are liaising with Forestry Commission for the elimination and fencing exercise. The call comes after police arrested a man who attacked the driver of a Nissan Pathfinder with registration number GE 808811 on the Gimpa Fiesta Royal Road. According to the police reports posted on the Ghana Police Service Twitter page June 11, the man was arrested when he threw a big stone at the vehicle, smashing its glass door, but attempted to escape in a nearby bush when the driver drew the attention of police officers on patrol on that stretch. She, however, said in the absence of the lighting and fencing, her outfit is devising strategies that will help deal with the robbery situations usually encountered on that road.
In other news, the global economy is expected to expand by 5.6% in 2021, the fastest post-recession pace in 80 years, legacy strong rebound for the major economies. This was counted in the World Bank's June 2021 Global Economic Prospect, which, however, disclosed that many emerging markets and developing economies continue to struggle post-COVID-19 pandemic.
Despite the recovery, global output will be about 2% below pre-pandemic projections by the end of this year. Per capita income losses will not be unwounded by 2022 for about 2/3 of emerging markets and developing economies. Growth in low-income economies this year is anticipated to be the slowest in the past 20 years, other than 2020, partly reflecting the very slow pace of vaccination. Low-income economies are forecasted to expand by 2.9% in 2021 before picking up to 4.7% in 2022. An analytical section of the Global Economic Prospect report examines how lowering trade costs, such as cumbersome logistics and border procedures, could help bolster the recovery among the emerging market and developing economies by facilitating trade. Despite a decline over the past 15 years, trade costs remain 1/2 higher in these countries than in advanced economies. Rising food prices and accelerating aggregate inflation may also compound challenges associated with food insecurity in low-income countries. Policymakers in these countries have been urged to ensure.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.